Hi there, it's Sandy, your sister and your friend. Welcome to today's video. It's really important for us to make good decisions in our lives. We all want to make good choices, and especially when it comes to who is going to guide our life. And I think that if we're really honest with ourselves, and when we look at our behavior, look at how we feel, we actually know who we're following. As far as I can tell, there are only two choices for guides in our life. One is the Holy Spirit, who was created by God, and so therefore it can't be changed. The other is the ego, which is a made up thought and an illusion that we created in our minds. So it can be changed, it can be altered. Um, and these are the only two choices. The good news is if we don't choose wisely at one time, we can change our mind and choose the Holy Spirit. So let's look at these two guides. First, I say the ego. The ego is just a made up thought. It's an angry, fearful thought, an idea that we made up ourselves. It did not come from God. And as a matter of fact, its purpose is to make us feel guilty and to be afraid of God's judgment. Some people say the ego stands for edging God out, which is probably a good description. It's actually a symbol of our being separated from God and of us attacking God. Now, neither of those things can be true because anything that God created, which He created us, cannot be separated from God. We still are in God as an extension of His love, and because we're still in God, our will is the same as God's will, which is to love and not to attack. Now, the other choice that we have is the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit was created by God. The Holy Spirit also lives in our mind, and the Holy Spirit is there to be our helper and our comforter and our inner teacher. There are many other names for the Holy Spirit in the Bible. The joy is actually the purpose of the Spirit, which is pretty good news that we have access to joy all the time. Now, we can tell if we're following the Holy Spirit based on looking at how we're behaving in this world. Now, that's not for us to look at that is for us to work on changing our behavior, but it's actually for us to remember who we truly are. The Holy Spirit knows that we are the Son of God and that we have never left the mind of God, because anything that's created never leaves its source. But what it allows us to do is to inspect our behavior to see if our behavior is in alignment with our true identity, our true self. Now, when we follow the right guide, we're going to know what to do in every situation. And when we do what we know is the right thing to do, we're going to find out that it works. And the fact that it works is the evidence of it being our true guide, our real guide. And it actually will lead us to conclude the simplest thing that we can read in the Bible, which says, by their fruit you will know them. So we will be known by the fruit in our life. And fortunately, in the Bible, in the book of Galatians, it actually lists the fruit of the Spirit. And it says that these are the fruit. It says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Now, the Holy Spirit carries these traits into every situation. And since the Holy Spirit is in our minds, we carry these traits into every situation as well. The Holy Spirit looks at everything it perceives with love. The Holy Spirit looks at you with love and at me with love. And it's looking at us with love, not based on the errors of our behavior, but on the true identity and knowledge of who we are. So let's go back to this list of fruit one more time, because I want us to just, I'm going to go through a little bit more slowly for us to resonate with what the fruit of the Spirit is. I also, though, looked up typical antonyms for each of these traits, because when we're not operating from with the Holy Spirit as our guide, we are operating from the ego as our guide. Those are our only two choices. So I also wanted to list some typical antonyms for these, so we'll know what does it look like, what are we going to be behaving as when we're operating with the ego as our guide. So from the Holy Spirit, it's love. From the ego, it's fear, anxiety, and hatred. The Holy Spirit, it would be joy. With the ego, it would be sadness, sorrow, and depression. It would be peace with the Spirit versus agitation, chaos, and conflict. Patience with the Spirit versus impatience, annoyance, and irritation. Kindness with the Spirit versus cruelty, coldness, and insensitivity. Goodness with the Spirit versus evil, immorality, and cruelty with the ego. Faithfulness with the Spirit versus dishonesty, disloyalty, and infidelity with the ego. Gentleness with the Spirit versus harshness, cruelty, and roughness with the ego. And lastly, self-control with the Spirit versus defiance and impulsiveness with the ego. It's our job, because this is our life, it's our job to see when we first have made this tiniest little turn from peace to conflict, from patience to impatience, and so on. As a matter of fact, whenever we're not altogether feeling joy, total joy in our lives, it's because we've reacted with a lack of love towards a brother, and everybody in the world is our brother. So in the very earliest stages of anything that's a negative feeling, if we felt that our smile has left our face, or we feel the tiniest little twinge of upset forming in our solar plexus, that's the time for us to get still in our minds. Now, we still may be doing whatever we were doing before that, but this is a time for us to turn into this place of being centered that we've practiced during our times of meditation. As a matter of fact, the last video was about spiritual techniques, and one of them is about being the centering technique during meditation, which I'll put in the comment below if you didn't watch that yet. But this is the time when we can, anytime we notice the slightest little interruption in all those fruit of the Spirit, the love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, self-control, gentleness, we feel any of those leaving in the least little bit, least manner, this is the time to allow whatever else is that we're feeling, anything negativity that we're feeling, to allow it to come up. We're going to say yes to anything that we're feeling so that we can allow that disturbance to occur. Because we're centered, we have the Holy Spirit there to help us, we're going to say yes to whatever that we have stored. It is going to come back up at that time. And we're going to allow that to happen. Because instead of judging it, allowing it, the Holy Spirit will step in and transmute this negative energy that we stored so that we can be healed from this thing that we have carried from our past that we maybe didn't even know anything about. The Holy Spirit's unlimited power of love actually does all the healing work. And the Spirit uses anything in our life. It can be this negative situation or this difficult person. The Holy Spirit will use them to actually, that's how we're going to find our freedom from these things that we have been tethered to in a negative way that we probably don't even know anything about. And if we have stored negative emotions in a particular way over a long period of time, and most of us have done this unconsciously, we may feel like this is an onion, one layer at a time is being released. And that's fine. Don't be troubled or dismayed by that, because this is just a natural process. If it was stored with multiple layers, it's going to come back up in multiple layers. So just allow that to happen. The Holy Spirit is going to be there to help you with that. And because the Holy Spirit is relentless in helping us to release these things. And this is how we're going to find our freedom. So follow the Holy Spirit. Know that the Holy Spirit is there to guide you. And on the other side of this, it's going to be all joy, because that still remains to be the purpose of the Holy Spirit. That's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. I love you so much. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit the like button. Leave me a comment. What's it like when you notice the difference between who you've made your guide? Go and be blessed for the rest of the day. Love you so much. Bye-bye.